name is Timothy Stone Dancer Coleman. Thank you so much for joining us for this inaugural episode of Podulution, BronxNet's first in-house podcast program in many, many years. And so, we're trying to branch out and interact with the community in as multiple ways as possible, because we believe that some people watch, some people listen, and some people read. And so every time we can put all of those things together as one form of medium, that's where we're going to hone in on. And so today I am unbelievably proud to remind some of you and introduce those others to an amazing man who has been working with BronxNet for many, many years, submitting all different types of content to us. He was previously living in New York. He now lives in Pennsylvania. I'll let him talk about what happened with that move. But we have Mark Stanberry, CEO and founder of Screen Arts Institute, with us today. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so Mark, tell me, when was it that you first became engaged and aware of BronxNet?
Not to mention, I don't know if I can mention another public access channel.
Of course you can.
Okay.
That's all right, yeah.
Initially, I started out on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and I just wanted to cover more of the city. Mm-hmm. So I just researched and found out, okay, well, actually Bronx has a public access channel as well. So I simply reached out and went through the process to be, I guess, an access producer. And that was it. I just wanted to, it's always been trying to put my animation and cartoons out to as many people as possible. And again, even though I don't live in New York City, I love New York City to death. So I wanted to try to keep a connection with what I had done before when I mentioned to you about subway trains. So I was still trying to stay in front of New Yorkers in some way. So that meant, I think public access is a very great way to do it. And I'm surprised more filmmakers and animators, artists don't do it. But I just wanted to get in front of New Yorkers like I used to be.
That's really dope. And I agree with you. And I thank you for saying that. This is, public access. I think the entertainment industry as a whole, has everyone programmed that you need to go like from your couch straight to Netflix. And there are so many steps along the way where you can learn so many things and develop your craft and hone in on the things that you intend to do so specifically. And the cool thing about public access, specifically through BronxNet, although I think it's this similar situation at all the stations, but specifically with BronxNet, is that it's for free. Once you take that and pay for and take the actual certification class, you have access to 3 different locations around the Bronx where you can come and use our equipment and have staff support you in the production of your particular idea. So with your work, Mark, what is it that, like, what category do you believe you fit in? Do you even claim to be in one particular category? Is it anime? Is it cartoons? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Like, where do you feel, how do you want the world to receive you?
The way, I mean, I don't know if I really can categorize what I do or my content, but it's always been, I've been married 36 years, and me and my wife together had 8 children. And there was a point when my kids were younger. At one point, everybody would be in the living room watching TV or playing video games. And I really missed that. So I wanted to try to make some kind of content or fare that everybody could get something from, not too kiddish, not too adult, not too preschool, whatever. And I simply decided to simply take pages out of my childhood and try to shape it into like a slice of life type thing.
Yes.
And just like, hopefully people would like it. But I know now, like after we talked about the email from yesterday, I found out that I knew, but people did like it just for being that kind of, I don't want to say boring, but not overstimulating type thing, slice of life. And that's all I wanted to do, to try to appeal to more than one demographic in a family.
Hmm.
So that's what I've always tried to do. I've actually pitched to BET years
Yeah.
ago, Adult Swim years ago, NBC years ago. And it was always the same thing, even though now we have what's I think called on ABC Family. To me,
Hmm.
it's not really family because some of the shows are a little over the top, a little too adult, a little too racy.
Hmm.
Uh, and nobody really has a category that really does that. It's usually the kids watch one thing, the teens watch another thing, mom watches one thing, dad watches another thing, and I kind of miss that.
Yeah.
So I've always hoped to try to do something to rekindle that for people, just from my nostalgia, and that's always what I've tried to do.
I think that's powerful. So there's a couple of things in there. On the one hand, I remember growing up, and I remember a time when we were allowed to have TVs in different rooms. And I remember my mom calling out many nights when she and dad were watching TV in the living room saying, "Hey, are you guys watching XYZ? Come watch it with us." We uh I think the movement towards having multiple devices in the home has also helped to kind of separate the family
Yeah.
apart, right, from those kind of moments. But even though you and I spoke prior to this interview starting about the email that you just referenced, I'm wondering if you could share really quickly with the audience, what was this email that you received? What did it pertain to, and how did it have impact on you?
Well, what happened was an individual, I used to sell DVDs in New York City, and somebody's mom had bought a DVD of my cartoons, passed it on to her daughter. Daughter loved it. And then the daughter didn't hear anything else about it or any other content or stuff about the cartoon. And this would have been 12 years ago. And
Hmm.
this individual emailed me. She's now 21 and tells me she loved the cartoon. She wondered what had happened to it. She had been trying to track me down and more of the cartoons. So it just made me realize, that it did kind of click a lot of boxes
Right.
as far as kids. I didn't know if it was too boring for kids.
Hmm.
I didn't know. I've had everything from people say it was adults say it's poignant, it's comfort food. So I didn't know really. It wasn't really aimed anywhere. But this one email just kind of let me know. Okay, it did resonate with kids, and
Yeah.
that was okay. A missing piece in my head, you know, if it was too, I just say too boring. Uh, but that email changed that, and it really kind of gave me a little validity
Hmm.
to what I was attempting to do, and did it work? On some level, it worked, and
Yeah.
actually, it made my day.
Well, I think it's powerful. I mean, I think it's interesting you say too boring, right? Like, I mean, in today's times, too boring is, someone coming across the screen fully dressed, right? Like, I mean, there's so much raciness on television and in the movies and in media these days. Who is your main character? What is your main inspiration for your cartoon? First of all, like, what's the name of it? And then, like, what is your main inspiration, and how does that play out in each of your characters?
Well, the series on BronxNet is called Stan's Animation Hack Stan, and I based that on my father's nickname was Stan, uh, and so I just kind of wanted to reference him in it. The main character is a little girl, 10-year-old girl named Puddin, who lives in New York City in the early 70s, particularly 1972. I didn't even live there then, but I just love New York City, so I had to kind of go there. Uh, but she's just a reflection of a lot of people, females, kids that I had seen over the years. Years ago, me and my wife used to be heavily into the church, and it was always a lot of small kids around, tons and tons of little girls, always, asking for money. I used to keep change in my pocket to give them money and stuff. I just love, I had a thing, not a weird thing, little girls. They're just something. And I also have 4 daughters. So little girls were always around me. And then I took the character's name, which is Puddin, which is my wife's nickname when she was little. So I just kind of conglomerated that all together and came up with this character, placed her in New York City, and let her kind of have a simple life, because for me growing up, middle class, lived in Baltimore City. My dad worked at General Motors, good money. So I had a really simple, good life. So it's like I just wanted to kind of show that, no over the top stuff, no drama. It was just, I loved it. So I know, maybe other people had that,
Yeah.
and I just try to reflect that.
We have more mentors, leaders, and heroes coming up after this.
Congratulations to BronxNet on its 30th anniversary. And I'm blessed that I was here shortly after the beginning of BronxNet. At that time, I took the field and studio classes, and I spent a lot of time helping other people have shows before I put my toe in the water and decided to have a show for myself. For those of you who are familiar with the Blackwash Televised Art Gallery, that was my first show on my own. And now I am pumping up La Finca del Sur, doing Eating Healthy with La Finca del Sur on BronxNet's Channel 70. And I appreciate everyone watching.
Without BronxNet, I don't know how we'd be able to showcase the important and amazing talents that we have here at the Bronx. We've been able to feature lots of great artists, performers, people who deal with coffee and small entrepreneurship businesses, discuss controversial topics, and also be able to share the voice of residents that might not normally have access without a place like BronxNet.
Hey creative family, my name is Timothy Coleman and I'm the Director of Education here at BronxNet. And I'm standing in BronxNet's Media and Technology Studios in the South Bronx because I want to let you know about an amazing program that we're bringing back that highlights the creativity of community members just like you. Emerging Media Makers is a show that introduces you to BronxNet's certified producers. They've taken a step in their creative journey by enrolling in BronxNet's media training classes. On this show, you'll get to see the many ways that our certified producers have created a space that's all their own. Emerging Media Makers, your passion lives here.
Welcome to Podulution, a show that celebrates mentors, leaders, and heroes.
So, with Puddin' and with your series, what comes next? Like, when you sit down and you kind of have a minute to meditate and reflect and ideate on the future, where is it that you'd like to see your work in the future? What are you working towards?
Just a much bigger audience, which goes back again to explain when I was still on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, BronxNet, another public access channel here in Pennsylvania, in York, Pennsylvania. And then again, I think it's also now on in Sweden. So I'm just trying to reach more and more people, not no real, accolades, but just have more and more people know about it and, just appreciate it. It would be great to be acknowledged by these people, but it's just a simple fact that's out there. Yes. And I know people are seeing it. That's really all it's about. Just trying to reach more and more people. And yeah, of course, in the process, hopefully, make some money. Right. Because we recently got our trademark for her as an animated series too, about a year ago.
Congratulations.
So we want to move into licensing, but we know we need to have a big enough audience to justify bringing in people to license it.
That's right. So now tell me, how did this deal come with Sweden? How did you get involved in that? From the Bronx to Sweden to Pennsylvania to, what I'm saying? It sounds like you are slowly building the momentum towards the vision that you just described that you want to achieve. How did that happen with Scandinavia?
The simple fact, again, I've always tried to do things that I think other people overlook. Even when I used to sell DVDs on the trains, no other filmmakers were doing that to me, which was insane that they didn't see it. So again, public access was that same thing. Nobody really utilizes it in regards to film and animation. So I said, let me just keep trying to throw this really broad net with public access. Let me see if there are other public access channels all over the world. And there's one show that's on that I've seen on almost every channel I've looked up and researched. It was the show Democracy Now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's on BronxNet. It's on every channel, and I just went to their website and went down their list of all the channels they're on in every country they're on, and just took those channels and went back and emailed and researched and reached out, and I didn't get a lot of response. And some of them was a lot of red tape to get through to get onto the show, get onto the channels. But Stockholm, Sweden got right back to me. And it's like, sure, we'd be glad to have your show. And that was it. So I usually try to look at opportunities that other people, for whatever reason, don't look at.
Yes.
And that show, Democracy Now, is on in like, I don't know, several hundred countries, hundreds of channels. And I just went through their list of what channels they were on. I'm like, okay, if these countries will take an American show, okay, maybe they'll take another one.
Oh, that's
And
so good.
Just the way I looked at it. And
so many people have a hard time trying to figure out where their audience is, where they should devote their time, and how they should go about finding new viewers. And so I thank you for dropping that $1 million nugget on us, because I don't know if a lot of people are thinking about picking a show that they're familiar with and seeing all the places that it's airing, and then doing their due diligence to find out who's the person at the station that receives new content so that they can submit their stuff, right? So I think that right there in and of itself is definitely the definition of grassroots. And definitely the definition of like the perseverance that it takes to actually build your brand. So when you found out like what all these stations were, was it a little bit of a back and forth to figure out which person you were supposed to send things to? Was there like automatic, like you just sent to a general email and maybe they emailed you back to say, hey, you should forward it to this person?
Yeah, it was that. And when dealing with foreign countries, it's really hard. And that's to say, I didn't get successful with most of them. In the few that I did, I followed up. But a lot of times there's a lot of red tape, or just like some public access channels in the States, you have to pay to be a member.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was always the determinant to me, because like I say, I don't make a lot of money doing this. So I'm like, okay, no, I got to front the ones that are free. But yes, it was simply, when you say finding your demographic and your audience, for me, I don't think I have one. So I've never been closed to any one opportunity or thinking I got to go specifically here to catch my demographic. I don't really think I have one. And I think it's been a double-edged sword, because when I've dealt with network TV, they want you to be specific. Who are you aiming for? I could never really narrow that down, So public access is the best way to just make your stuff. And if it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, okay, no harm,
That's right. Because you know what? The biggest place that people fail is step one. If you never take step one, you're never going to get any information. You're never going to move on to like any potential or possibility of another open door.
Yeah.
And general society, we focus a lot on how many doors are closed and how many people say no to us when we're trying to express what it is we're trying to offer to the world, whether it's inside of entertainment or not. And I think where we should reevaluate how we receive information from people is, okay, this place is a no, but maybe it's because their demographic is XYZ and I actually do fit in this category, right? Or more towards this group of people, even if it's not one specific category. Because I feel like there are so many people who have the talent and persistence and ability to be on stations all around the world, but it's about doing that due diligence. And
That's it.
sometimes we just don't have enough money for an assistant to sit down and, who's sitting
Yeah.
down and sending out 100,000 postcards and making 100,000 phone calls, right?
We have more mentors, leaders, and heroes coming up after this.
Hello, BronxNet. Happy 30 years. 30-year anniversary. Boy, that went by fast. And also, my 10 years here at BronxNet has gone by even faster. I have a show called Just Give Me the Mic. My name is Deborah Coco, and I just love everything about BronxNet. What I've learned here, I've actually taken my studio production class, my field production class, and doing a show here has opened up so many avenues for me. It led me to acting and meeting some incredible people. I've been hosting and just having an incredible ride. So I still love coming to the studio and having my face-to-face interviews just like it was day one when I came into the studio. BronxNet has opened up so many opportunities for people within our community. But nonetheless, happy 30th anniversary, and keep on helping people to create their own dreams within the media industry.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Welcome to Podulution, a show that celebrates mentors, leaders, and heroes.
All right. So then while you're in Pennsylvania, correct?
Yeah.
Now over there, you're also involved in public access television?
Yeah, there's a public access channel in York, PA. I live in Central PA, which is really in the middle of nowhere, but there's a channel in York, PA, and I'm also trying to get on Erie, PA. But yeah, I'm on in York, PA here. Yeah.
All right. And so what is your advice to other folks that are in the Bronx who are looking to just get their initial idea out there to the community? What was your actual step one? Was it deciding what it is you like to do? Was it you drew a certain amount of visual content before you reached out to someone? Like, how did you evaluate when it was right to start reaching out, and like what your real step one was?
Oh, that's kind of hard to answer. I don't know. It was just, I guess I don't want to say driven, but maybe that's the only word, driven to want to have people see my work without sounding egotistical. But I wanted people to see my work. And never having really been a rich person, I had to find economical ways to do that. Yes. And again, public access is the best way to do it. Even for people, if they have to get on another channel and do a membership, it's usually no more like maybe $100 on some of the other ones. So it's not expensive to get on public access, put your stuff out there, express yourself. It's just a do it thing, because before I went to Manhattan Neighborhood Network, I'd actually gotten a deal, and the Puddin' cartoon, the show, was on the Cox cable system as a regular TV show.
Wow.
In 38 cities.
Wow.
And I wasn't getting the exposure or the feedback that I expected.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it wasn't worth it. I did it for like a year and a half, and I just wasn't getting the feedback. But as soon as I got on Manhattan Network, I was getting emails, comments from people on LinkedIn who had saw the show on public access. So I'm like, that's it. I'm a focused public access all the way. And
Yeah.
I've just stayed in that lane ever since.
That's really great. That's really great. All right, listen, I appreciate again that you took time to speak with us today. I can't wait for folks to see this and be inspired by your story. And just know that at all times, there's this book called The Writer's Way. And I remember a passage in this book that said, a singer sings, a writer writes, a drawer, animator, that you animate. So no matter what people are going through at any point in time, as we live life and do it on a daily basis,
Yeah.
all the things that come into play, whatever is in your soul and your heart to do, you should be doing it on a regular basis. I remember working in the South Bronx for the Department of Education for many years, and that hour ride on the bus to and from, I was working on music, and I was just writing songs with my headphones on and not paying attention, because that was my free time in the day to actually do one of the things that I really love to do. So I thank you for being an amazing example of someone who has called places as remote as Sweden, and I'm sure there's other places you've reached out to that are equally as phenomenal, and opposite of the life that a lot of our Bronxites live on a daily basis, because you followed your passion and you followed your purpose, and you have this desire for more people to receive the things that you create. So I pray blessings upon you. I hope that you receive all of the things that are meant for you in your path. And thank you again for being with us. Where is the website that people can come to learn more about you?
Our website is www.screenartsinstitute.com, and there we have the courses, because we also teach teens and kids up until last January on weekends, art and animation. So we have the courses there. We have some of the pudding cartoons there. We also make mobile Android games, and we also have put some of those on there as well.
Nice.
So yeah, they can go there and see all things pudding, animation, whatever. It's all there.
Phenomenal. Well, Mark, have a beautiful day. Thank you again so much. And I look forward to having you on again in a future show, so that, we can hear about all the amazing next steps, because you're growing it systematically.
Yeah.
And there's value in that, because all of the people who find you and start to love your product and love the work and connect with you personally, they're going to stay with you throughout that entire journey. So many blessings to you, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you.